Thank you for watching the 39th Street Church of Christ Daily Devotional. The devotional today is You Are What You Eat by Jack Williams. Well, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Bluebell. Well, not really. But have you ever heard that thing, you are what you eat? Well, if you know me, you know I like Bluebell ice cream. So maybe that's what I am. Well, we know there's got to be a little bit of a leeway in that statement. It's not reality. Oh, it can cause problems. You eat terrible food, you get terribly sick. You don't stay well. But spiritually, you are what you eat. Has a lot of application. Whenever you think of our spiritual diet, you realize that the Lord said, as he himself was tempted, Matthew, the 4th chapter, he was hungered. The devil tempted him and said, turn these stones to food, to bread. And he said, it's written, referring back to Deuteronomy, the 8th chapter. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. You see, Jesus said, I can't live without that word. And that's the way that we ought to be. Eat a good, healthy diet physically, but spiritually, you've got to desire that. It's what the Lord said in Matthew, the 5th chapter. We hunger and thirst after righteousness, he said. That's the blessed man. And I want to be blessed by the diet that I have spiritually. And so I hunger and thirst after righteousness. Jesus even said in the book of John, he said, my meat, in other words, that sustains me, is to do the will of my Father which is in heaven. Jeremiah of old, he said, I can't but speak the things that are in my bones. He said it was a burning fire that he could not contain. And so he knew that word and he had to do it, but that obviously was something that consumed him, to know God's will, to get it out and to live it. We ourselves need to realize that each day we set our diet. It's not a one time a week. It's not just a Bible class life we're talking about. Bible class is important. The lessons that are preached on Sunday, Wednesday, other times, they're important. But the fact is, whenever we become children of God, God tells us in 1 Peter 2 and verse 2 that we're to desire the sincere milk of the word that we may grow thereby. But a problem comes in that sometimes whenever we become children of God, we have to eat the milk of the word. We start out small, but we're expected to grow. Have I? Has my diet increased? As a baby, you feed them baby food, but you increase. You always check with the doctor. I remember my wife saying, when can we do this? When can we do that? When can we give them more solid food? Well, children of God need to realize that expectation is there. And if we don't go on, something's wrong. Hebrews, the 5th chapter, in verse 12, the Apostle Paul said, for the time when you ought to be teachers, ye have need of somebody teaching you again the first principles. He said, you're on the milk when you ought to be on strong meat. We need to desire that word, and we need to grow in it. And the fact is, if we eat it like we should, if it is that we hunger and thirst after, it is that which we must have, we realize that's the meat to learn and to do that will, then we'll grow. And what amazing life we will have. We'll be able to look and we'll know the answers to the questions of life, because that's what the Word of God has. He's given us all things that pertain to life and godliness, 2 Peter 1 and verse 3. He's given us, according to 2 Timothy, the 3rd chapter, in verse 16 and 17, that inspired Word is able to make us complete, thoroughly furnished unto every good work. It's no wonder then that Paul said, Timothy, got to get your diet right. You think, well, where did he say that? Well, in 2 Timothy 2:15, he said, study to show thyself a workman that needeth not be ashamed, handling aright the word of truth. He said, you can't live. He told him in 1 Timothy 4, be an example. You can't preach. 2 Timothy 4, preach the word. You can't live and preach what you don't know. If we don't eat the word, We are what we eat. How many people have a diet of the daily news, of the morning gossip, of hosts, what somebody else said, or my preacher said, or you said? Let's study the Word. You are what you eat. I want to hunger and thirst after righteousness because I want to be righteous. It means I'm going to be right before God, right before those around me. I can be an example. I can have a hope. Thank you for listening. You have a good day.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this short devotional. We encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you'll be notified of other devotionals that will be forthcoming. Also, we encourage you to join us online live as we stream our services at each service time. More information can be found on our website at the link below. Thank you.